Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I really hope you're all doing okay and having a great day and an amazing week. My name is Effy and today we are testing and reviewing the Beautybay Midnight palette. I have already done a video reviewing the Earthy palette, the £42 version. This is the £42 version of the Midnight palette, and I also have a £16 version of the Berries palette because they didn't do a £42 version of that one. So that video will be coming soon. The Earthy palette is already up. I'll leave it in the clickable I button and probably in the description box down below. But today we're looking at the Midnight palette. This is the look I've created. We've gone full blue t-shirt, blue earrings, blue headband, it's all great. But the palette is actually 50-50 blue and purple. As always, I will talk a bit about the palette. We'll do a tutorial on this eye look. I'll then give you my thoughts on the palette a bit more now that I've used it. And then I do run through my base in this video. It is silent and sped up and most of the products are in my project pan. It's just a very everyday look apart from the eyes. But yeah, as always, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. I put up 2 videos a week and it's all makeup content. So if that sounds like your type of thing, then this is the place for you. Like I said, I do have a testing video on the Berries palette coming very soon and a bunch of other testing videos. I constantly do testing videos, so if that sounds like the type of thing, come join the family. But other than that, I will let you enjoy the video. So before I pull you in and make a start on the eyes, let's just take a little look at the palette to start with. Obviously quite big, 42 shades. It's roughly 50-50 purple and blues, like top 3 rows are purple, bottom 3 rows are blues. There is a black, there is a dark blue, there are dark purples, that one's very dark. There are light blending shades. It looks really nice. I'm not going to swatch the whole palette, it's 42 shades. I would like to do stuff with the rest of my day. But what I will do is I will leave Make Me Up Missa's video tagged in the description box of this video. She swatches the whole palette in her video, so if you would like to see her swatches, go and check out that video. She has more patience than I do. But this is the palette. I think it looks really nice. I think a lot of the shimmers look very, very interesting. I personally love purples and blues, and I think the fact that this palette is 50-50 split between purples and blues is really, really nice. I think you've got a range of different shades here. You've got some more pinky purples, you've got some more darker berry purples, you've got some more bluey tone purples. In the blues, you've got pure blues, you've got dark blues, you've got like some tealy colours. I think it looks really nice. Let's pull you in and make a start on the eyes. I think I'm going to do one of my split looks. So the inside of my eye, I think I'm going to do purple, and then the outer half I'll do in blues. But let's make a start. I've pulled you in and I've primed my eyes using the Revolution Prime and Lock eyeshadow primer. And we're going to start on the inside of my eyes, which is going to be the purpley side. And I think the darkest purple might be this one here in the top corner, which is called Voodoo, and so I'm going to start with that. That shade's gone on really nicely. I should have said already, but I already know that I'm a fan of the Beautybay formula. I really enjoy their eyeshadows. They're always so pigmented, so fun to play with. They always blend really nicely. So I do have high expectations for this palette already, really. And now for the blue side, I'm just going to hold it upside down just so I can only get those 3 rows. Obviously you've got a black, but there is also a super dark blue over here. There's also a dark blue over here. And I think I'm going to go for the dark blue in the bottom corner. And that shade is called Midnight. Again, that shade's gone on really nicely. I was a little bit worried it was going to be patchy, but it's not. Obviously right now I'm only trying to get my shape on there. I'm not too bothered about pigment because if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I personally like to pack on the product in the shape that I want, go through all the shades I want on my eyes, and then go back through and blend them all. That's just how I prefer to do my makeup. I think that dark blue might be a touch too dark for the purple I've put next to it, but I don't think that's going to be too big of a problem. By the time we blend it all out, I think it's going to look absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do now is go back to the purple side, and I'm kind of thinking this shade here, which is called Rich. That is a gorgeous shade. It's a really nice shade of purple. It blends seamlessly with that shade underneath it. Obviously I will go back in and intensify the darker shade, but right now that's looking really nice, packed on beautifully. Absolutely love it. And now back to the blues, and I think I'm going to go in with this shade here, which is called Denim. That shade's gone on nicely as well. I think it will need a lot more building up when I come to going back through my shades, but for now it looks quite nice. I think that's going to blend really nicely with the dark blue underneath it. I will say, it may look like I'm using the same brush for every shade. I'm not. I actually have like 6 of these brushes, and I'm using a different one for each shade, but I am going to start mixing it up and going for a bit more fluffier brushes now as we go back to the purple side. And I think I'm going to go into this shade here called 1993. Wow, okay, that's the first shade that's really taken over, and it could just be the type of shade that it is. It's almost a pastel-y purple. It's not a primary colour, so it's not like a primary colour, but you know how when I say primary red, you have that red? It's almost like that for purple. It's like a very solid purple shade, and it has just taken over the shades underneath it, but that's absolutely fine for right now. We can go back through and blend those shades afterwards when we go through our blend. For right now it doesn't matter too much, but just be aware that shade does dominate when you put it on. And I think now I'm just going to finish up the inner part of my eye. So I'm just taking a fluffier brush, and I do have quite a few options for the final blending out shade. There's Lilac, Tranquil, Dream. This one's a bit too pink, but that one's called Fancy. I think I am just going to go for Lilac because I think this one's a bit too light and this one's just slightly more pink. So I'm just going to go for Lilac. That shade's worked really nicely to help blend it out. You obviously can't see it as much as the other shades because of how light it is, but it is working nicely. I think it blends out that other purple quite nicely. It hasn't taken over and dominated in the way that purple before it did, which pastel shades generally tend to do. Usually when you put a pastel shade on, it takes over the look because it just sort of packs on. But this one hasn't done that. It's actually worked really nicely. I do think Beautybay are really, really good at formulating pastel shades. I do have their 8-pan pastel palette. I think it's really good. They know how to make pastel shades that show up and work well. Now we're going to go back over to the blue side and finish adding colours. And the next blue I think I'm going to take, again there are quite a few different options for mid-tone blues, but I think I'm going to take this one here called Cerulean. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That's gone on really, really nicely. Obviously it is a shade that's going to need blending. We're going to need to blend this entire look. I keep saying it, but I don't want you to think that I'm just going to leave it like this. But that is a really, really nice blue. It's a very solid, true blue, which I quite like. Very good for a lot of different looks. And now we're going to pick our final blue, our lightest blue, and there's actually not as many options in the blue side as there is in the purple side. I think the palest too is this one here and this one. This one's almost a white, so I'm actually just going to go for this one, which is called Mist. I can already tell that these blues are going to blend out so, so nicely. When I have finished the eyes and I do my base, I will blow out the blues at the end much further, pretty much to my hairline, because that's the sort of look I'm wanting to do today. But these are looking really nice. As promised, I'm now going to go back through and blend all of the shades. I'm going to start on the purple side, get that to the position where I'm happy, and then go in and blend the blue side. Let's talk about how the blending is going. So on the purple side, I didn't really have to even dip back into that 1993 shade much at all because it was just so intense to begin with. I pretty much just intensified the colours around it. I know I said that I was initially worried that the dark purple called Voodoo wasn't quite dark enough to sit next to the dark blue. Now I've intensified it. I actually think it looks fine next to the dark blue. It's very, very deep. It works very well. The lilac shade, the palest purple, you can't really see too well, but it does a good job at blending out the other shades, which I'm quite happy with. And the other shade that I use that I haven't mentioned is Rich, and that one just works really nicely to blend out that darker shade. They're similar. They're really similar, but not so similar that you can't tell the difference, and it just makes for a seamless blend. Now let's talk about the blue side. I did struggle with this a little bit more because, and I mention this in every video, I shave off the ends of my brow. For some reason, where the skin is, where there should be hair, but there isn't because I've shaved it, eyeshadow never really tends to sit well over that area. I don't know why, it just doesn't, and this is no exception. It's not looking perfect over those areas. Also, I did realise that I was kind of taking it out at the wrong angle, so I did have to try and correct that, and I'm not sure how well I did at correcting that, but I can fix that when I do my base and I can clean it up after that. But overall, these are blending really, really nicely. I'm also not worried too much about where the purple and the blue meet because they seem to have just blended together quite nicely. There's not a harsh line, there's no muddiness. I'm really enjoying these mattes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my crease. I'm going to do it off camera because it's going to take forever and I don't want this video to be too long. So I'm going to cut my crease and then we'll come back and look at some shimmers. Cut crease is on. I'm not removing it and reapplying it to make sure it's all white. I don't care enough. It's not something I'd ever do in my everyday life, so I'm not going to do it now. So, shimmers. I was debating whether to go blue into dark purple, but I don't think there's a dark enough purple. This one maybe, but probably not. So I'm actually just going to stick to the colours we have and go purple into blue. What am I going to pick? So the lightest purple we have is this one. I'm just going to put 4 purples on my fingers and we'll see where we're going with that. So I've got 4 purples here. This one is Gleam, this one is Jellies, this one is Mystic, and this one is Electric. That Electric is almost a bluey purple, but I want to keep the purples on the inside of my eye quite light. So I think I'm going to go with Mystic on the inner corner and then Jellies after that. And then we'll pick 2 blues, but I'll do the purples first. So we're going for Mystic and Jellies. I have got some fallout on my face from both of the shades, I think, but they are quite nice. They're very similar. I think the shade Jellies is a bit more blue, whereas Mystic has almost like white shimmers in it. So now we're going to pick out some blue shimmers, and again, I'm going to put 4 on my fingers. I'm looking for slightly darker ones, but we'll put 4 on my fingers and have a look at them. Okay, I love these blue shimmers. The first one we've got is Potion, which looks stunning. Then we've got Queen, which is the darkest blue shimmer. Then we've got Bubbles, which is a bit more tealy. And then we've got Sky, which is actually one of the lighter blue shimmers. There's not many light blue shimmers in here, so that's actually one of the lightest ones. So I'm going to rule that one out because I said I wanted more darker shimmers. I think I'm going to have to go in with this one, Queen, on the outer edge, but then I need one in between, and I think I'm going to go for this one because it's just absolutely stunning. This one's just a bit too tealy, so I'm going to go in with Potion next and then Queen on the outer corner, and then I'll go in with the dark blue that we used called Midnight just to blend them together a little bit more. So starting with the shade Potion, and I think this might be my favourite shimmer shade that I've tried today. I do also go in with a little bit of Jellies just to help blend it into that purple a little bit, because they're obviously not perfect next to each other because it's a blue and a purple, but they do blend nicely enough. That shade Queen also works really nicely to blend into the darker matte shade. I will say I'm not getting as much fallout from these blue shades as I did with the purple shades. I don't know why that might be, but I'm just not. These shimmers are really nice. I do quite like the Beautybay shimmer formula, and thankfully none of these seem to be their flaky formula. They have one shade in the Wilderness palette called Fossil that I don't quite really like because it's very flaky. These aren't like that. They are a little bit flaky, but not as much. I'm definitely finding these a lot easier to work with. I am really liking this look. What I'm going to do now is go off camera and catch up the other eye. I am going to run through my base on camera, but it's just going to be my Project Pan makeup because I just want to get a bit more use out of it. But I will run through it on camera and speed it up for you, but yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'll see you in a moment. Before we move on to the base, I am just quickly going to talk about the palette a little bit. This is my eyes looking more symmetrical. This one I cleaned up and did at the right angle. This one I just did at the right angle first time around. I will fix that once my base is on, but let's talk about the palette. I really like this. I love blues. I love purples. They are notoriously difficult shades to formulate, and I think they've done a really good job. These look really nice. I will say I think this palette is meant to be a permanent version of the Book of Magic palette. I don't have the Book of Magic palette, but I do have the Age of Opulence palette. So let's just have a look at them both together and see if there's any similar shades. So these are the palettes next to each other. Obviously there's blues and purples in each. What I will say is the blues in this palette are generally more teal-ish. Whereas these are straight up blues. I will say if you were looking down this end column here, this shade here called Curfew is very similar to Twilight, this one here. The shade Lavish in the bottom corner, the blue in the bottom corner, is kind of similar-ish to Denim maybe. It's kind of a very solid blue. The teals aren't similar at all. The Blue Shimmer Revival is kind of similar to Potion, the one that I used today, this one down here, but not that similar. In terms of the purples, these are sort of pinky berry tones, and there are some in here, but not a lot. I think overall, these palettes are very, very different. There's none of the brown tones that are in here, in this palette. A lot of the gold shimmers aren't in this palette. Overall, these are very, very different. Like I said, this isn't meant to be a permanent version of this palette. It's meant to be a permanent version of the Book of Magic, which I don't have, so I can't compare them. But I know a lot of people missed out on the Book of Magic, myself included, and they really wish they'd picked it up, so maybe this is a really good alternative. But overall, this is a great palette. I think these are £23. So let's run through base. I know I said I was probably going to use my Project Pan makeup, and I think I am mainly going to use my Project Pan makeup, but I might mix up a few products, but I will be using all products that I'm trying to use up. They just might not be in my Project Pan. I mean, you'll see the products as we go through. I'll do cutaway clips and I'll just speed through the rest of it. Enjoy. There we go. I think my camera cut out a little bit just before I stuck on my lashes, which is honestly fine because they're not sticking down very well at all. My inner corners are both coming up. Please ignore it. We're almost done. I also threw on a lip. It's just the Fenty Beauty Goss Bomb Queen in Mauve Wives. I haven't worn this in a while. I just thought it would go nice with the purples. It's probably not the best shade, but it'll do. Let's talk about the palette. Here it is again. You've seen it all video. It's a nice palette. I did give my thoughts before I did the rest of my face, but I do think it's a nice palette. I do really enjoy it. I think it's very pretty. I think the choice of shades and the choice of shimmers is very well thought out. I think that they've clearly had a direction with this palette, which I quite like. It's well thought out. You've got blending shades, you've got dark shades, you've got dark shimmers, light shimmers. There's some that have like a flip to them, so this one is sort of blue but then has pink glitters in it. This is more of a grey one if you were looking for more of a grey. This one is like a dark blue but it's got lighter blue and green and gold shimmers in it. This one has like pinker shimmers in it. I just think they're very unique, and Beautybay formula, I said at the beginning, I love the Beautybay formula. I was expecting to love this palette and it didn't disappoint. I will say, I'm looking at myself in the monitor. This is a very intense look. This isn't an everyday look. This isn't an everyday look even I would do. This is purely for YouTube or Instagram. But I really like it. I will give you a close-up look of it now. There we go. I hope that's in focus. Can you see it's just blended really nicely? The shimmers are stunning. I think this eye looks better, does it? They both look fine actually for once. This is the one where I had to sort of clean it up. But I don't think you can really tell if you didn't know I'd done that. I honestly can't tell if I'm in focus. I'm really sorry if it's not. But yeah, there's the look. And this is the rest of my face, in case you're interested. But there we go, that is the video. Let me know what you think of the look. Let me know if you have the palette. Let me know whether you prefer this palette or the Earthy palette. Like I said, I do also have the 16 Pan Berries palette, which I will be filming with soon. That video may be up in a couple of weeks. And I think in that video, I'm going to also test some other products. I'm going to do like a full face testing video. Whereas in this video, it was fully based on the eyes. And in the Earthy palette video, I completely forgot to film my base, so you didn't see that at all. But in the Berry Tones palette, I will try and test out some of the new products and do a bit of a more wearable look. But this, I love. I actually really enjoy this look. I have nothing else to do today. I need to do some laundry, some washing up, some revision. I'm going to keep this makeup on. My boyfriend is currently out. When he comes home, I'm sure he'll be shocked, to say the least. But anyway, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. It's free and puts a giant smile on my face. Just hit the subscribe button down below. If you have any other eyeshadow palettes that you'd like me to test or do a video on, please just let me know. I'm always happy to do that. But other than that, I will let you go. Have a great day and an amazing week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.